Hi guys, Tim from Topper here. We're going to go through the sanitizing procedure of the WOWRO 50 210 model along with the leak detection tray. First off, let's make sure that we don't prematurely trigger the leak detector. So I've taken a double towel or doubled up on it, making sure that it's very absorbent, and you drape it up and underneath. And so when we crack open the filters to add the solution for the sanitizing, that we're not prematurely triggering the leak detection pad. Either that or remove the leak detection pad. So what I'm going to do is I need to depressurize the system, and I'm going to draw off a certain amount of water while the system is installed and alive with water. So I'm going to open up my faucet, and I'm going to draw off enough water so that I'm squeezing enough pure water out of the bladder, because we're going to let that fill back up with the solution in it. So you might want to go to a 3/4 inch saucepan in the house, fill that up. We'll do this a couple of times just so that there's enough water being drained out of the bladder so that we're assured of getting the sanitizer solution in from the membrane permeate tube into the system itself. So that's 2 of these volumes here. Should be enough. All right, so now I've turned the system back on. It's now replenishing that inventory. So we know that the valve is in water makeup mode. So I'm going to turn my supply line off. I'm going to break the pressure at the faucet once again. I should have depressurized the system by my placing the hand directly over the tank on the top of the manifold. I'm wiggling the pre-filter. I know that the pre-filter is depressurized. With a clockwise fashion, pushing up, I'm going to remove the pre-filter. Got a little bit of water. I'm going to drain a little bit of that water out of the pre-filter. My membrane is depressurized, and I'm going to drain that water out as well. Now, in the center of the membrane, there's a check valve, what we call an umbrella check valve. Using my fingernail, I'm just going to peel the check valve out. There's a nice little O-ring seal. I'm going to make sure all the water's out of the center tube of the membrane. I'm going to take some standard household 3% hydrogen peroxide. I'm going to pour it into the center post of the pre-filter. Making sure that I get some in the center post of the pre-filter. Then I'm also going to pour some of this 3% hydrogen peroxide into the center port of the membrane. Okay? Now, this solution here is not dangerous to the membrane under the rapid use that we're going to be putting it through right now. So now, my permeate tube is loaded with 3% hydrogen peroxide. My pre-filter's got some hydrogen peroxide in it. Whoops, I forgot. We're going to put the check valve, umbrella check valve, back in place. Now I'm going to realign the dots. That's in place. I'm going to realign the red dot for the pre-filter. That's in place. And we should be good to go. Sanitizing, enough sanitizing solution has been placed into the membrane. When we turn the system back on, it's going to go back into water makeup, and the amount of 3% hydrogen peroxide inside the tube of the membrane will now be diverted into the bladder. It will go into the bladder, sanitizing the water that is stored inside the bladder through the production cycle. That will sanitize the bladder. The amount of peroxide that I poured into the pre-filter will be placed on the outside of the membrane, okay, sanitizing the city side or the well side of the membrane. So both sides of the membrane are going to be experiencing the hydrogen peroxide. Should sanitize the membrane as well as the storage bladder. Okay, so I'm going to turn the system back on. I hear it energizing. When you hear the waistline open up, You're now making water. We're now pushing the pure water from the membrane into the bladder because I'm not opening my faucet just yet. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it on and to ensure that the solution that is stored inside the pre-filter now goes into the membrane and sanitizes the outside of the membrane. So as I'm producing water right now, I have the 3% hydrogen peroxide that I poured into the permeate tube of the membrane. It is now going into the storage reservoir and sanitizing the entire vat of material, the pure water, inside the storage reservoir. Now at this point, it would be wise to change the post filter and the pre-filter. You may have changed the pre-filter ahead of time, but definitely make sure that you have a brand new post filter in. So when I dump this next load of water out at it, let's say another 30 minutes, leave it in there for an hour, let's say, then drain the system through the existing old post filter, okay? Then change the post filter on the second batch, okay? And that would be, now you've got new filters, the bladder's sanitized, the manifold has been sanitized, and you should be good to go at that point. For those systems that have been sitting for a long period of time, let's say it's a vacation home where the product's been sitting for months and months and months, you may be getting a foul smell from the system, kind of like a sulfur or rotten egg smell. And that's because the post filter and the pre-filter have been sitting there percolating with some kind of probably a bacteria that's in the carbon column itself, and it's breeding, and this is what's giving you the foul smell or taste. If you're on a well and you already have an iron fouling bacteria from the well that has gotten into the system, it's probably breeding in the pre-filter and so on, so therefore you should take this entire system through the sanitizing process and start off with new carbon filters. But this way here, what we just did is we sent the sanitizing solution into the storage reservoir where it typically doesn't breed bacteria, and most of the smell you're getting is probably coming from the carbon filters. Okay, so that's it. Hope this is short enough for your video, and signing off. Thank you.